Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jessi, also known as Miss Cherry. If you're joining me for the first time, thank you for being here. First of all, I'm so excited to have my very special guest today, Lucas. Lucas is an old classmate of mine from, we won't tell them how long. It's been a long time.
Yes.
We've known each other a long time.
Yes. Last
But
time
we,
last time you and I chatted, I had hair.
right. I was like 50 pounds lighter too. Like I was way cuter back then.
It's been a while since we graduated. We went to the same high school, and
Again.
yeah, it's nice we've stayed in touch. And obviously, like it's so cool seeing you be this like notable blogger. Like your people love you.
Oh,
So
thank you. I'm so excited you're here because our paths kind of cross because we're both nerds. We love theater. We've always loved theater. That's where we originally connected and where our friendship came from. Whoopsies. Where our friendship came from. And I know that you love the Muppets. That's kind of why we're here. We're going to talk about all things Muppets. But can you tell our audience like what it is that you do? You have the Facebook group, the vodcast, all of those things. So if you would like to introduce those, and they're all linked down below in the description, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So my name is Lucas Ervin, and I run the Muppet Collection page on Facebook. And as of very recently, I started doing online interviews with friends of mine, artists, authors. Miss Cherry was my guest last night. Yeah, and that's kind of a new thing where I call it an earful with Ervin, where I discuss people's their fads, their passions, their careers, their blogs, and just talk about the love and the passion and the drive behind all of those things. So, and then side note, something that's also brand new, my friend Chenzo and I, who he's going to be an amazing puppeteer for the Muppets one day. I really do believe that. Him and I are doing the classic Muppet Show review, where each week we pick a random episode, we watch it, we take notes, and then we just kind of go over it. And it's a lot of fun. We're only 3 episodes in. As a matter of fact, he's in the middle of putting it onto YouTube right now as we speak. So.
Oh, that's so cool. And I have linked that vodcast down below. And I watched a little bit of that episode that's up on YouTube, and it was so fun. So I'll definitely
thank you.
Be watching that. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat too. First, I'd like to say a huge thank you to Disnerdy Canadian Alex. Alex, thank you so much. He's our moderator tonight, so he's going to be helping out in the chat.
Thank you.
And yeah, thank you, Alex. Hello, Jay of all trades. Aunt Kelly, hi. It's nice to see you. Amy Snyder, Christina, Lindsay, and also Sue. Hello, Sue. It's nice to see everyone in here. So let's take we have a question that came in on Instagram that I feel like is a good icebreaker.
Okay.
Tell us where your obsession with the Muppets began.
So it's kind of like your first memory of like, it's like trying to remember the first time you met your mother. Like, like really, because like I can't remember like the first time, especially I'm sure a lot of kids feel this way with Sesame Street. It's just like, the Muppets have always just been around. And actually that does bring me to the first thing I wanted to show you. 1 second here.
Ooh. Yes, let's see it.
So it started when I was a little kid. And as I mentioned, Sesame Street was always around. But I also had a VHS. Oh, that's something else. 1 second. Oh my gosh. So I spent a lot of time in and out of the hospital. I had a lot of congenital issues. I had heart issues and stuff like that. And one of the things that somebody had gotten me when I was very little was the VHS version of this called The Kermit and Piggy Story. And it's out in 1985. And basically it's an hour-long special of the highlights of Kermit and Piggy's relationship on The Muppet Show through all 5 seasons. And
Oh.
yeah, I ran the wheels off of that tape, literally. Yes. I like, Sesame Street, Muppet Babies, stuff like that just kind of, fell by the wayside as I got older. But the
Mhm.
Muppet Show just always stuck with me.
Right.
And yeah, and also being a kid who's always in the hospital, I had one stuffed animal that was in practically every surgery with me, and I still have him to this day. And yeah, I got this when I was 2 years old, I was told.
Mhm.
And yeah, like all the surgeries I had, all the procedures, even if I was just getting blood drawn, that thing was with me.
Wow.
Yeah, no, he's been thrown down a few flights of stairs.
And that Kermit, I remember from when we were kids. Like I remember you you brought him to school at least one time for sure.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of people in the chat saying, "Oh yes, Muppet Babies."
Oh
Gotta
yeah.
give a shout out to that show. It's such a great show.
Oh,
And
absolutely.
that was a big part of my childhood as well. I was always compared to Miss Piggy, and I'm like, is that a compliment? Probably not at the time.
Sure. I mean, I got Gonzo a little bit growing up,
You.
but
I could,
I love Gonzo though. Like as an adult, he's one of the top three I tend to identify with the most. As a matter of fact, when the Muppets did the Hollywood Bowl show uh, back in 2017, Bobby Moynihan from Saturday Night Live was the host, and he did this. Oh, he's the best. He was the
yes.
great host for the show too. So
Oh,
he came out and he goes, Gonzo, I'm so excited about this next bit. I've always wanted to do a bit with you just because you've always been my favorite Muppet because you taught me that being weird is okay. And Gonzo goes, Bobby, it's not okay. It's fantastic. It's just like the coolest thing. Yeah.
I love that.
But
I
yeah,
love
as a side note, I snuck backstage after the first live show and I met all the performers for the first time.
Oh my God.
And I met Dave Goles. That is, we've talked about core memories before. That's
Yes.
forever because when I saw him, he just kind of appeared like out of the blue. I was putting something back in my bag, and all of a sudden I look back up, and he's like 2 feet from me, and I go, you're Dave Goles. He goes, I am Dave Goles, and I tried to say I love Gonzo, and as soon as I hit that G, I got emotional. And he
Oh.
just gives me the biggest hug. He goes,
Oh.
I go, I'm from Kansas City. I came out, it was like a last minute thing that I even came out here. And he talked to me for a while. I was like, you are the greatest. You're absolutely awesome.
That's incredible. So
Uh,
speaking of puppeteer, can I ask a question though regarding Muppet Lingo?
sure.
So when you refer to all of the characters, is it okay to call all of them Muppets?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
And is
what's
that like a Jim Henson connection? Is that what is making them a Muppet?
well, and that's the thing. Technically, when it comes to anything under the Jim Henson umbrella, it essentially is a Muppet. Hoggle from the Labyrinth, Jenny
Mhm.
from Dark Crystal, the Fraggles from Fraggle Rock. They're all technically Muppets. Even at the end of, especially back in the 70s and 80s, during the credits, all the characters are under the Jim Henson's Muppets. So technically and legally, they are all Muppets. So
Okay.
yeah,
I always wondered that because I'm like, Sesame Street characters are Sesame Street characters, but can we also refer to them as Muppets?
oh yeah. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
if you buy plush dolls of like a Big Bird or an Ernie or whatever, it'll say on the tag Sesame Street Muppets.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you for clarifying that. That's something that I've always wanted to know.
Oh yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. It started back, of course. Jim Henson got his start at a local television studio in Washington D.C. In 1955. He was doing a 5 minute segment before the news. I think he did it for a number of years, like 5 years, where he would come on with all these different puppets that he made, and once he put all those puppets together, he decided to just call them the Muppets. And
Yeah.
Kermit was around back then. Kermit wasn't a frog back then. He was just like this abstract lizard-like creature. But Kermit was part of this group of Sam and friends, and he stuck around all the way through The Frog Prince and into Sesame Street, and of course the Muppet Show. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So we have a question that came in from Jay of All Trades. Who's your favorite Muppet?
Oh gosh. So I like to clarify this. I love Jim Henson's Kermit. And there's a reason because of that, and that's because Jim Henson's Kermit was a leader. He was he was a leader unlike that, like most people really have seen. Some people call him like a Paul Newman or a Tom Hanks, which I really like that reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. And through the years though, I would say Rolf the dog is also like right there, like parallel to Jim. So yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And so we always talk in the Disney community because the franchise of Disney and Pixar is so giant that you go through these waves of liking different characters. Do you have that same thing that happens with your association with Muppets?
Absolutely. Like, it's funny, and not only like just like within the Muppet Show world, like sometimes I'll get into like a bit of a Fraggle Rock kick and I'll like watch some old episodes. I'll read stuff about the performers, like, and I'm sure this applies to a lot of people. Like, I learned how to read and add and, little like things like that just because of these guys. Like, I distinctly remember trying to read the credits at the end of the movies and shows to like learn these people's names.
Oh, that's neat.
Like at an early age, I wanted to know who played who.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I absolutely go through phases where, Kermit's really my jam, or Gonzo, Scooter. I love Scooter. Yeah, even more like abstract. I'm a big fighter for the abstract Muppets. Characters like Lucy, Beauregard, Link Hogthrob. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys. I got plenty here I would love to show to people if they're interested, of course.
Yeah, please show us.
Statues years ago, and there's 24 altogether. I think I have 12, and I was so glad that they made so many different like abstract characters.
Yeah.
You can see up above me, I got Link
Yeah.
Hogthrob, I got Sam the Eagle, Beauregard the janitor, I got Dr. Teeth. Yeah, like those characters. As much as I love, when people celebrate Kermit and Piggy and Fozzie, I never see like, oh my gosh, like I really love Sweetums. Like, oh, this guy's a Muppet fan.
Yeah. Don't judge me. I love Rizzo.
Oh yes, I love Rizzo too.
So Kelly said that she lives in Maryland, and Jim Henson went to the University of Maryland.
That's right.
There is a state of him and Kermit. There's a statue of him and Kermit sitting on a bench. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's really cool. It's a bronze statue. Kermit is sitting like on the edge of the top edge of the bench, and Jim is just sitting, in the bench casually, and they're looking at each other. It's a statue. It looks like they're just having a conversation there. It's really sweet. Yeah.
That's really sweet.
Yep.
So Christina wrote in a question, which I think is awesome. Top 5 items in your collection, or top 5 things you like collecting.
So top 5, I wanted to show my absolute favorite piece that I have, and I'll just describe him for you. And if you, of course, follow me on Instagram, you'll see pictures of him. I had somebody build me back in 2020 an authentic. I mean, you can't tell the difference. It's an exact puppet of Kermit the Frog. He used the same fleece. He installed arm rods. The face is perfectly flexible. The feet even look perfect. Like I'm stunned by this. And it's not with me right now because the same guy who built him. I have giant hands, and the ring around the neck where Kermit's collar is really tight on my wrist, so I don't want to stretch out that fabric. I asked the guy if he can make like a slightly bigger head, and he's in the middle of making a bigger head Kermit, but it's still gonna go perfectly along with the body. But I absolutely love that. I love my nieces and nephews love taking pictures with it.
Oh, I bet.
It's so cool. But
Is it the actual size of him?
yeah, same size,
Yeah.
same dimension. I actually worked with this. I do have something else now that I'm just thinking about that he built me. It was a Christmas present. The same guy built for me. 1 second.
Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Bust of Kermit the Frog made of the same fleece. And yeah, he just
Oh,
put it on a
cute.
little wooden stand, and he made the mouth like movable to where I can you can kind of move it around, and the head even goes upward. He put it in like this little anchor thing inside of it to where you can move the head around. So
That
yeah,
is amazing.
but this is just an example of how unbelievably detailed this guy is. He's amazing.
Oh, that's so neat.
Yeah.
We were talking yesterday about Adam Krutinger, who is another YouTuber who teaches you how to make Muppet style puppets. And I'm going to make that.
Oh my gosh. It's just so it's a slice of heaven. It really is.
It is.
And then something else, I'm sure you remember our friend Derek from high school.
Oh, yes.
I sent him some extra figures I had because again, I'm really into like the rare background Muppets. He built me Nigel from the orchestra conductor from the Muppet Show.
Wow. So he built that?
He built that, yeah.
Derek is so talented.
He's unbelievably talented. He got the
That is
hair,
amazing.
and cool thing about this guy Nigel, before the Muppet Show was officially released, they had done 2 different pilots, and one of them was called Sex and Violence. And Sex and Violence, the MC of that special, that pilot, was this guy Nigel, but he wasn't the conductor back then. And it wasn't until right before they shot the first episode of the Muppet Show that Jim said, I've used Kermit for all these other specials, and he's pretty big on Sesame Street. I might as well just make him the MC for the Muppet Show. Yeah,
That's too cool.
Yeah, so like we could have had Nigel instead of Kermit the
Frog. Right.
Yeah,
that is so interesting. Yeah. Oh, we have Meg here from Mickey's Magic. Hi, Meg. Thanks for joining us. Lisa asked, "What is that statue made of that Derek made? Do you know?"
The statue, or are you talking about this?
That guy, yeah.
Okay, so what I did, I gave him years ago. There was a toy line of Muppets released by this company called Palisades, and they had made a ton. Matter of fact, right behind me, you can see the backstage play set.
Oh yes,
and that's from the Palisades line. And so I had some extra figures. This one came from the variant theater usher scooter from the Muppets Take Manhattan. I had an extra one of him, and basically I just gave Derek this toy, and he sculpted the head. I forgot the name of the plastic, the material that he used, but other than that, it's basically the same kind of plastic you would see on most toys.
Oh, that's so cool. I need to contact him. I've always been interested in knowing how to do modifications, which makes sense because that's so Derek to make.
He made me that one, and he made me Guy Smiley from Sesame Street. Yeah.
We love Derek. Derek, if you're here, you're not. We love you. We miss you. He's the best. So Sue wrote in and asked, how many people were in our graduating class?
Oh, gosh.
70?
So how many people were in our graduating class?
I think it was 70 or 80, somewhere in there. Not a lot.
Yeah, I tend to always shoot for like 70, 75, yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Right, yeah.
I had superlatives. Did you? Were you nominated? Or did you win any of the categories?
No, I don't think so. I think I was just kind of in the crowd and just, kind of, sat in the back and made fun of everybody else. I didn't really, I wasn't in sports. I did theater with you,
Yeah. I was voted class clown and biggest flirt, which kind of makes
You vixen.
I know, right? So naughty. This question came on Instagram, and then it's also being asked here. Oh, hello. We've got a lot more people in. Hello, Lizzie. Hello, Patty Wagon. Nice to see you guys. So did you see the last Masked Singer episode with Kermit?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
that I watched the clip yesterday, and from my understanding, that was their first episode of the season. Now,
Oh,
yeah, I could be wrong, but yeah, like Kermit was essentially the first one who came out. He's in this giant, like little mobile snail, and they're like, "Oh, who's that singer?" And then he pops out from underneath the snail, which I thought was really cute.
oh,
And one thing that I'm sure you'll love this: the guy who voices Kermit now, his name is Matt Vogel, also does Big Bird now on Sesame Street, and he is originally from Kansas City.
love that.
Yeah, yeah.
We love that Kansas, Missouri representation in Hollywood.
Well, and you know what's funny is that's how I first got involved with like the online Muppet community back in 2011 when the Muppets came out in theaters, and
Mm-hmm.
saw Matt Vogel was he was picking up some like really like old school characters, including this blue dragon named Uncle Deadly. And I was like, he hasn't said a word since the first season of the Muppet Show. And so I asked this guy, his name's Ryan, he used to be in charge of the Muppet Mindset, but now it's ran by this guy, Jared Farclaw, tremendous human being from Australia, one of my favorite people. But anyway, I Ryan back then if I could interview him, and I kind of got a little bit of an edge by saying we're both from Kansas City. So when I met Matt Vogel, a Hollywood Bowl, I told him and his wife, I was like, hey, I'm the guy who interviewed you for the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. And his wife goes, honey, we got a KC native here. And so that's him in person and shake his hand and chat with him for a minute.
Heck yeah, you got to use all of those connections that you can. That's so awesome.
Absolutely.
And it's not Kansas and Missouri area. It's just not a very popular place to be from. So it's like, we're like a tribe. We're like a tribe.
Yeah.
Oh, this is well, yeah. That's fair. This is a really good question. Have either of you visited the Jim Henson Studios? I live in Los Angeles, and there's a great statue of Kermit dressed as Charlie Chaplin. Chaplin built the studio.
That is true. No, I haven't been inside, but I've been by there many times. Gosh, I would love to go in there. Matter of fact, so when comedian Patton Oswalt got married, he had his ceremony in there at the Jim Henson Studios. Like, it's such a, even just being outside the gates, and of course they're locked, but even still, like looking in, it's just like, it's such a magical location. And I'm sure you feel this way when you like visit like certain Disney spots. I also had the opportunity to go to Leland, Mississippi, where Jim Henson was born. And I went down there 2014, I think, and 13. And I actually got to have dinner with the guy who wrote Jim Henson's biography, Brian J. Jones.
That's so awesome.
And I tell you, I didn't expect to have dinner with him. It was just supposed to be a quick meet and greet at the town hall, I think. And then my friend Kevin goes, hey, I know this Italian restaurant we can go to afterwards. You want to go? I was like, yeah, sure. So we get in there. 5 minutes after we order, Brian J. Jones walks in with the people from, who are helping putting on this whole weekend. And both of us were like, hey, how's it going? And then one of the people who ran the Muppet Museum goes, do you guys want to have dinner with us? I was like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm like sitting there. I didn't want to be that guy who like just said, hey, remember this? For like 30 minutes, I'm just listening to the guy. And he's talking about work on the Ed Sullivan Show. And, Rolf the dog, like he first started out as a dog used for Purina dog chow commercials back in the early 60s.
I didn't know that.
Fun fact, Rolf has been a dog longer than Kermit has been a frog.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Like, it's so great. Like him and I bonded over our love. Like if you ever get a chance to look at some old Ed Sullivan clips of the Muppets, it's some of the coolest stuff ever. And it's so, to this day, so funny.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, my goal is to go on Disney Plus and watch all of the I think it's like 5 seasons they have now of the original Muppet Show.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to start that. And I love Meg mentioned, I feel like I'm learning an entire history lesson.
Oh my God.
It's true.
cool. Like with Jim Henson, you really learn about the evolution of television and movies too, because he was one of the first people who got in basically at the ground floor where there wasn't a whole lot of programming on television yet. And he just found a way to cut his own corner of the world out, and he made the Muppets with it.
Wow. Love that. So cool.
But yeah, that's one of the many wonderful treats I've had the pleasure of experiencing, meeting somebody in that world.
Another core memory. I feel like you have had so many amazing connections and ways of seeking out people in the community that you have, which is amazing because a lot of the people in the community that you have are still alive, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times for different fandoms, they aren't that lucky. And so I think it's really nice that you've had so many amazing opportunities. And so Jay asked another question. Have you been to the Puppetry Museum in Atlanta?
So it's funny you bring this up. It looks like, and this isn't for certain, this literally just came up today, I'm thinking of going in 2 weeks.
That's soon.
I've never been. I actually called the museum today to ask if there were any pieces that are currently on exhibit that are going to be removed within the next month. And they said all of their pieces are going to be staying there. And I was like, good, because they have the Muppets from Frog Prince, Sesame Street, Saturday Night Live. People don't remember, right before the Muppet Show, Jim Henson, Frank Oz, all those core puppeteers were at Studio 8H with John Belushi, Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, and they were doing the Land of Gorge sketches that nobody wanted to write for. They bombed every time. He just, Lorne Michaels was good to him. Some of the cast was good to him, but he wanted to be on Saturday Night Live because Sesame Street at that time was cornering him more and more into the world of puppets or only for kids.
Right.
During that time, when Sex and Violence aired, around that time it was being pitched, he was able to finally go to London and found somebody finally who wanted to greenlight the Muppet Show. So at the end of the first season, Jim Henson pulled Frank Oz aside. This is at Studio 8H and said, we just got to go ahead for 24 episodes in London at Elstree Studios. Oh my gosh. And so they were glad to leave Saturday Night Live. They went to England, and for 5 years they did the Muppet Show.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So much rich history with this franchise. I love it. There was another question that came in that says, do you have your own Muppet? And you answered this a little bit earlier, but do you have one of yourself?
Oh gosh, I would almost be terrified to get a puppet of what I would a puppet version of me. So, what's funny? If I were to ever have someone like build me like a puppet version of me, just because I'm more built like Fozzie or Rolf, so I want to like have a live hand puppet instead of hand and rod. So, yeah, like if I were to ever get one, like I know that's at least one trait I would want my puppet to have. So,
yeah.
And of course, as we covered earlier, I do have a Kermit the Frog puppet made by a builder out in Seattle. Again, made from the same Antron fleece that the Kermit you see today is made out of.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I really like this question from Meg as well. If you could design a new Muppet attraction in Disney, what would you want it to be?
The Muppets are so good about embodying the style of vaudeville. And one thing I really love about Muppet Vision 3 is that there's a lot of elements to that in the Muppet 3D. I would really love to see something like that, kind of like Muppet 3D, but maybe more interactive. They do have, and I'm sure you've seen this, man, maybe you can help me. There's a live show they do with the Muppet puppets. It's Kermit, Piggy, Fozzie, and the Eagle. But I know the show that they have there.
It's not the Hall of Presidents, but it's, why can't I think of it? But it's something like that outside of the President's Theater in Magic Kingdom.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's patriotic themed, and they they do little fireworks, and it's such a cute show. And then yeah, like the little windows open and they pop out, and it's such a good show.
See, I love that, like using like the actual puppets there, and I also love like the silliness and the goofiness of Muppet Vision 3D. I would like to find a way to like marry the two and put something on. And also, there's a guy who now performs a lot of Jim's characters, like Rolf the Dog, Swedish Chef, Dr. Teeth, who I really think if anybody could put it together, his name's Bill Beretta. Genius puppeteer. He does Pepe the King Prawn.
Oh, Pepe.
Yes.
We love Pepe.
I love it. Just tremendous.
So good.
Ever. But yeah, such a great when I see all the groups of puppeteers that are running things now, Bill Beretta is your guy. Like he's the Frank Oz of this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Meg said, "Great moments in American history." That's what the show is called. It's in Magic Kingdom. Yep.
Yeah. I want to see it.
It's mainly narrated by Sam the Eagle. It's so fun. It's so fun to watch. So speaking of Swedish Chef, we need to talk about Swedish Chef for a minute. We had a question come in on Instagram, and they said, "What is the Swedish Chef actually saying? Do you know?"
It's absolute gibberish. As a matter of fact, he was initially the Japanese chef. Yeah.
Really?
In the Muppet Show Sex and Violence, there's a little kitchen sketch featuring, the Japanese chef.
Yeah.
And it's straight up Swedish Chef. And they changed it literally. Yeah. So he went from Japanese to Swedish. So I love that he's Swedish though.
Yeah, I love a Swedish accent. I think it's hilarious, and so I'm in support of the Swedish Chef.
Yeah.
I thought that.
Well, I was just gonna say something really cool that fans who are watching the Muppet Show now on Disney Plus, Jim Henson is, of course, performing the head and, of course, the voice as a puppeteer. Frank Oz is always the left and right hands, and with that, because they improvised a lot of those chef sketches, it was always Frank Oz trying to throw off Jim Henson. So the little song he does with the kitchenware and throwing things and beating things or throwing pans, that was all Frank Oz trying to throw Jim Henson off his game all the time, and they kept that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, as someone who loves live theater and has been in live theater, I think that is so wonderful. I love that they kept that in too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Something that I will say about Hollywood Studios, where Muppet Vision 3D is, it's such an underrated, beautiful area to go to. Yeah. And for those Disney fans watching that go to the parks often, go visit that area and show it some love. It's got a beautiful Miss Piggy statue that is a fountain of her as the Statue of Liberty. And there's a 3-story Kermit statue that you can get your picture in front of, and there's paint splattered everywhere. And I feel like we need to get on Instagram and like make it a wall or make it something viral to give it some more love, because the area is just so cool. So let's see. Yes, everyone's agreeing. Yay. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, it's I love that fountain. Of course, you mentioned the Kermit. Like back then, of course, before Jim Henson passed away, like he was in the middle of the Disney deal where he was selling the Muppets, which thank goodness that they got in what they did, because that's something a lot of people talk about, is how much they love the Muppets Vision 3D. And they also used to have a Muppet Show live show there at Disney World where they were full body costumes. So
yeah, and I never had the opportunity to see that. I know it was there, and that was one of the things that I really wish that I could have seen, because I do love the Muppets.
Yeah.
So do you have thoughts on the new Kermit and Miss Piggy new emos? Have you seen the new emos?
Not only do I have one, I bought myself one, and I got my niece, Miss Piggy. I got Kermit over here 1 second.
Oh, that's so awesome. Yeah. I have those two on order. It takes like 3 weeks to get to Alaska, so I'm like waiting. trying to wait patiently, but show me what you got. Oh,
Yeah, so I got him this little outfit, and
so
my niece Addie, she turned 7 the other day, and when I was picking this out for myself, I was like, "Oh my god, I'm getting her Piggy!" So I got her Miss Piggy in a couple outfits. So and she loved it. She took a picture with it with me when we were FaceTiming. I thought it was so sweet.
oh, that's super cute. The thing I love about new emos is they're posable. So like you can take really nice pictures with them. And I feel like that's something that's like very underrated about them is that they're posable.
Yeah, and I really loved, by the way, like I almost bought Donald and Daisy Duck and gave her Daisy Duck as well.
Yeah,
So
I have Daisy and I love her.
Yeah.
But Miss Piggy, her hair was so good on that new emo. Like you have like the whole like side part, stunning.
Well, and that's what I like lately is that people, when they do the merchandise of Miss Piggy, is that they're respecting. She is a plus size character, and I love that they are getting back to embracing that. Yeah, like you
Yeah.
you really shouldn't end up Miss Piggy because a lot of Miss Piggy, it's her bravado that powers through everything else you could possibly think about her.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed her bravado and her attitude and her style long before I noticed her snout.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's such a powerhouse in every sense of the word. And so looks are less important for her character, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
But I think she is fabulous.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Especially the 1980s, that was the decade for Miss Piggy. There were calendars. She was on every talk show. And they had the fantastic Miss Piggy Hour, which that was one of the first Muppet specials I saw as a kid. And it's one of the funniest things ever. It's her and John Ritter and Johnny Mathis. It's really on YouTube. It's pretty funny.
Oh, I need to find that. I think that would be hilarious.
It's great. So, but yeah, it's just Frank Oz has said many times, like Miss Piggy stems from my warped view of women, and that's where it came from. And then by the time there's such a, I could talk hours just about Miss Piggy alone, but there is such a huge contrast between season 1 Miss Piggy and season 5 Miss Piggy. Season 1 Miss Piggy is constantly, acting on instinct. Really just she's very sexually aggressive towards her frog. Yeah, like that's Frank Oz. That's something else he's always said. Like the only two things that Piggy cares about is stardom and her frog. That's it.
Yeah. I love that. So Kelly asked, "What do you think about the newest Muppet, Walter?"
I think he was necessary at the time when the 2 Muppet movies came out because we needed a character who represented fans like myself, who just because I was at that tail end of the Henson era, we remember those Muppets. We remember Bunsen and Beaker, Swedish Chef, Pigs in Space, Vets Hospital, and we needed somebody like Walter who appreciated those facets that made the Muppets what they were, because it was it's love and lunacy put together, and really a lot of people have a hard time, especially in the film and TV industry, trying to recapture that with some of the new programs that came out. They're not. They're missing that spark. They're missing that little puzzle piece that's always really hard to find. And it's 50% love. It's 50% lunacy. I talked to you recently. We were talking about tattoos, and as much as I love seeing Crazy Harry blow up a stick of dynamite or New Zealand throwing boomerang fish, I also love those moments where Ralph the dog is just playing Beethoven with a lit candelabra. And that's all it is. There's no joke. It's just a puppet playing the piano.
Right.
So it's so sweet.
It is. Really,
but then again, there's weird violence. There's monsters who eat other monsters. it's everything.
And something we were talking about yesterday was like, I feel like there's something for everyone in the Disney community that you can find, but I also feel that that is also applicable to everything Muppets. You can find yourself in all of these. I mean, there are so many diverse characters in the franchise.
You're right.
And
Absolutely.
you can find yourself in some way in those characters.
Yeah.
So we mentioned, oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, a couple of years ago, Frank Oz headed up the documentary Muppet Guys Talking.
Oh.
And actually, I spent a little extra and actually got Frank Oz's signature. He wrote To Lucas, one of my absolute favorite pieces of merch that I have. And in the documentary, it's Frank Oz, who does, Piggy, Fozzie, those guys. Dave Golds, who does Gonzo, Bunsen Honeydew, Boober Fraggle. Fran Brill, who does Prairie Dawn and Zoe from Sesame Street. Bill Beretta, as I mentioned, who does Pepe, Swedish Chef, those guys that are, new and old. And Jerry Nelson, who, aside from Jim Henson, as in terms of the puppeteers, Jerry Nelson is my second favorite performer because he has an unbelievable voice. He's a profound singer. He started off in radio. He would have never thought he was going to go into puppetry. And he does characters ranging from Robin the Frog, Lou Zealand, Floyd Pepper from the band, who Floyd is one of my absolute favorite characters ever. People talk a lot about Statler and Waldorf being the guys who, cut up in the balcony and make fun of everybody.
Oh, yeah.
But backstage, it was Floyd Pepper making fun of everybody. But yeah, Jerry Nelson talked about in the documentary, he goes, the Muppets are for the people who felt disenfranchised. And that's something that he has really loved about seeing all these fans across the world, and why that's so much to, people like me, really.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I totally feel that. And that's what's so nice about the diversity that's represented in the Muppets. That's why we love them so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. But
so go ahead. Sorry.
Is there another question?
Yes, we have so many more questions. Right. One of the questions that was asked on Instagram was, how do you feel about Disney Plus adding the original Muppet Show onto the platform, and do you feel that it's going to help encourage a new generation of Muppet fans?
I absolutely think it is. It's a wonderful thing that they did this. Very recently, the Muppet Studios department of Disney has come under some new management. And this individual is hugely responsible for not only getting Disney Plus the Muppet Show on Disney Plus, but for making sure that, obviously there are going to be some jokes that when you watch the Muppet Show, there's going to be some dated jokes and references that you can't really make today. And they were smart to put a disclaimer at the beginning of several of those episodes in order to make sure, like, okay, we want to put this out there and have people understand why the Muppets are the Muppets.
Right.
It's such a great thing, and I'm seeing so many famous people. Just the other night on South Park, at the beginning of the episode, they made fun of the disclaimer that Disney Plus put up in front of, and it wasn't just the Muppet Show. Pinocchio, Peter Pan, Dumbo, they all have the same disclaimer.
Yeah.
The park creators didn't realize that until the Muppet Show came up.
Oh, and that's interesting.
Yeah, it's the same disclaimer. And so, yeah, I just think it's so fascinating that all these famous people are like, oh my God, it's the Elton John episode, it's John Cleese, it's Diana Ross. Like,
right.
Liza Minnelli's episode is absolutely one of my favorite episodes of all time.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's terrific.
I'm really looking forward to it. And I personally think it's going to really encourage a new generation of fans, which I think has been a bit underrepresented. There's always been, the Muppet movies have been on Disney Plus, but I'm hoping that the publicity that it's getting now is going to really encourage, because I want kids to love it as much as like we did when we were kids. And speaking of Muppet babies, They have a new Muppet Babies show. Have you seen
Yeah.
it?
So I haven't seen it, but what I really love is that my friends who have kids, they're like, "Oh my god, my son, my daughter, they're like really into Muppet Babies. Like, where can I
Mhm.
find Muppet Babies merch?" I was like, "Oh yeah, no, you can just like go to Target, or I can get some for you
Yeah.
at the Disney store. Like, I know the Disney store has plenty of Muppet
Mhm.
Babies plush, and I love the look of Baby Gonzo in the new series.
So
But I would love it if
cute.
they added Rolf and Scooter back
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, they're definitely missing, and I would like to see them as well.
Yeah.
So another question that I have for you is that I feel like Muppets merchandise is difficult to get a hold of. So if someone was wanting to start collecting, do you have any suggestions for how to get started collecting Muppet merchandise specifically?
So, gosh, because like it's funny because it is its own little corner of the world in terms of collecting. But I would first want to ask, like, what types of merch do you like? Do you want posters? Do you want pins? Are you an action figure guy? Are you a figurine guy
Mm,
gal? Like what other stuff that you already have in your collections of whatever else you got in your collection room or your desk or whatever that you tend to
mhm.
most of, kind of just go in that direction. Funkos are a big thing. You showed me your pin.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, your pen collection's amazing. Um, yeah, like that in itself, just the pins is really lovely. Something I really love with some of the interviews I'm doing lately is a lot of the framed art I'm seeing. People who get like original designs from people who work at Muppet Studios or Sesame Street in New York City or the Dark Crystal Project that was just on Netflix. Like there are
Yeah.
these people who just, when something like this just hits a chord, the most creative people pop out of the woodwork. And it's
Mhm.
so fascinating. Hell, I'm wearing a t-shirt right now of the Muppet Studios.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you what, this came from a fabulous artist named Jamie Carroll, and I'll show you some of his work. Let me see if
Yeah.
I can switch this around. I'll just see what I can do here.
Oh my gosh, look at your collection.
Yeah,
Oh, I love
so
it.
I'll show you guys this first. So this is the Palisades line. I'm just kind of going by what I can see in the reflection. Yeah, this started when we were back in high school. I was like right after school, Jessi, running up to Kansas City to get this wave when it first started hitting shelves at like GameStop and Suncoast. And yeah, it seriously
Wow.
started when I was a sophomore in high school. And now it's just this massive room of stuff. So, but yeah, so let me see here. This poster right here, I hope you can see it okay. Yeah, this is the same print that's on my T-shirt. It's from Jamie Carroll. He designed this around 2011 in celebration of the Muppet movie coming out. And then he has another one over here that he did. Let me move this light out of the way. Yes, I also have a Star Wars collection as well. He did this beautiful Electric Mayhem piece.
Oh wow.
All six members: Dr. Teeth, Floyd, Janice, Zoot, Animal, and the only guy in the band who makes Zoot look like a poet, Lips, the trumpet player. Yeah.
Oh,
So,
so
yeah,
cool.
Jamie is a tremendous artist. And then, of course, I got this poster here from when I was at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh,
Yeah, so
isn't the Hollywood Bowl the most amazing venue?
it was beautiful. I can't even tell you. And you know what's funny is the week before is that they had a giant Star Wars celebration with like all of John Williams' music.
Oh wow.
Cool.
I had the opportunity to go for the Little Mermaid 30th anniversary concert, and Alan Menken played live. It was core memory. It was a core memory.
Oh God!
It was so
And
great.
when you're in there with all those people who love what you love, like I've never seen so many of my people in the same room before.
Isn't it great? It's like such a good feeling. You're like, I'm home.
Yes, absolutely.
So would you mind if we talked a little about Disney since
Yeah,
we're here?
absolutely. And I got
Can
something
you
to show you, of course, that I picked up today.
Oh yes.
Yes,
Oh, you got Jiminy.
that's the Jiminy, like right before the fairy godmother appoints him
Hmm?
the conscience, which
Oh,
I'm,
I love that.
yeah.
That's so cool. Are you an in-box collector or out-of-box collector for Funko?
I'm half and half. There are certain
Half
ones
and half.
box. Yeah, certain ones I leave in the box. Some of them I take out. As a matter of fact, that's one thing I'm trying to do right now is find some more shelves to store these things because they keep coming out. I keep telling
I hear
myself,
you.
oh, when they hit this wave, if they make this thing, I'm done. But of course,
Right.
you know.
Totally. Oh yeah.
But yeah.
So you and I discovered yesterday that we went to the parks at the same age, basically. I went to Disneyland at the same age you went to Disney World. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your first experience at Disney World.
So I got to go because it was a Make-A-Wish Foundation thing, which, gosh, I would love to know when that started. I would love to look that up when the Make-A-Wish Foundation started. But because I had by the time I was 10, I had almost 25 surgeries before the age of 10, and a lot of it was, as I mentioned earlier, like a heart, my airway, my ear, and yeah, just even as a matter of fact, had I not been, even when I was in preschool, I had to be held back. I had to go back to preschool again because I spent half the year in the hospital. And
Wow.
if I hadn't done that, I don't know if you and I would have ever met.
Yeah, that's true. I
So,
didn't think about that.
yeah. So,
Wow.
uh, I was 6 years old. It was 91. And they had just completed the Muppets Vision 3D, and Here Come the Muppets. So, the 3D show and then the live show and the costumes. And it was so much fun. I remember, even though I was 6 years old, they told us because of how this went, they go, "Oh, we can even get you to meet Kermit and Piggy from the live show. And they're in the full costume."
Mhm.
And I remember, like, because I didn't know what that was going to be. I didn't understand what like full costumes or whatever meant. So I thought it was meeting the real people. But I remember I kept telling my mom, "I don't want to meet Sweetums. I don't want to meet Animal because I just thought that would be too scary." But, but yeah, like we met Kermit and Piggy, and it was just so much fun. And something I will never forget is that Miss Piggy kept coming back and hugging my brother, and it was really weird. Like my brother was like, "Yeah, I kept trying to go over and hug Kermit, and, like shake his hand, and Piggy kept like cutting in." So every time I
Oh,
turn around, like, there's the pig again. So,
oh,
but
that's so
that was a lot of fun, and just
Mhm.
that was also like not long after Jim Henson passed away, so it was so great
Yeah.
that here were two attractions featuring Jim Henson, Frank Oz, Jerry Nelson, Dave Goelz, and Richard Hunt's characters. So it was
Mhm.
the last thing that the five of them and Steve Whitmire all did together.
Right.
So
So Alex asked a really great question. Where do you see or hope the Muppets will go or be in 10 years? Any particular story arcs you've been hoping or hearing about?
well, I haven't heard about anything. What I would love to see after, again, I keep bringing it up, so I apologize. But after I saw the Hollywood Bowl and how much that was like the Muppet Show, because it was like a 2 hour show with like a 30-person choir, a half-hour fireworks show. It was huge, and really, I think they got close with the 2011 Muppet movie. But what I would like to see that push and pull of the individual characters. There was a documentary that came out years ago called The World of Jim Henson, where, post Jim Henson, several of the people who worked in that arena were talking about how Jim and famous writer Jerry Jewell, who wrote Sesame Street, almost all of the Muppet Show, and almost all of Fraggle Rock, like he was there. Like Jim Henson knew what to put out there. Jerry Jewell knew how to make those characters work together. And one
Wow.
thing I'd love to see, no matter what kind of movie they did going forward, I want to see those gears in motion again, where everybody has a push and pull, where you know Piggy's bothering Kermit for stage time. Kermit's telling Fozzie you're not doing a stand-up. Fozzie goes out and he gets killed by Statler and Waldorf. Janice and Floyd are tight together. Floyd doesn't like Piggy. Working with the guest star. A boomerang fish goes by. Beauregard's trying to set up the scenery. There's so much push and pull. And so much, like, you see, oh my gosh, like these two or these 3, 4 characters work so well together. I just want to see less of, and this is something I'm seeing currently, less of the rest of the Muppets acting like a hive mind where they're just all kind of scatterbrained, and instead seeing why different characters are doing what they're doing, throughout the episode or throughout a movie. Like giving all the characters purpose, not just, the main 5 or 6.
Right. And exposing those like prior relationships or history that they've had, because I mean, why not use that rich history that this franchise has to their advantage storylines now, which would be, I mean, that would be ideal, but.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you.
Disney, hire Lucas, would ya?
What? Oh, no.
I said, hire Lucas.
That's the thing. As much as I would love to do that, I would just, if I were to do anything involving the Muppets, I would just want to be a consultant, because little details between characters matter. Something you don't see at all is how close Rolf and Piggy used to work together. All the time. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Like Rolf would kind of say a lot of the things Kermit wouldn't say to her. And he would it was kind of fun. There were a couple of characters who could say things to Piggy and once in a while get away with it. Rolf was one of those people. But Rolf was also the guy who backed her on piano when she would sit on top of the piano wearing a black dress and just, sing a beautiful number. And it's just that relationship where Rolf, he teases Piggy. One of the funniest comments, I hope people don't get upset by this, but it still makes me laugh to this day. The 30th anniversary of the Muppet Show was in 1985. They filmed it 10 days after my birthday. And they're celebrating the 30th anniversary. And Rolf comes out to introduce Miss Piggy because she was an influential part of the show. He goes, if we're going to talk about Kermit the Frog's co-stars, there's one person we can't leave out. She's one of the biggies, no matter how tight we lace her corset. And then he looks behind him and he goes, little joke there, Piggy. Like, something like that. Like, little things like that. People are missing out. Yeah, people are missing out on like those, because they're in the Muppet Show, they're people too, in their own way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so there's been a lot of comments about Make-A-Wish Foundation, and it's been around for 40 years. They found that out in the comments. So thank you for telling us that. And actually, I don't talk about this much, but I was a wish maker for a couple of years with Make-A-Wish. And so you have to go through the certification process to do so. It's really easy to do, but I'm saying if you are a fan of any sort, like a Disney fan, a Marvel fan, a Muppets fan, they will pair you with children whose wishes are those things.
Really?
And it is, if you can volunteer, if you have the time, do it. It is such an amazing organization. Both of my wish kids got to go to Disney World. I got to put together these packages for them and help them with planning and help the parents with planning. It was it's another core memory that I will have of doing that. And I just highly suggest being a part of that organization if you guys have the opportunity to, because it's pretty life-changing as the wish maker, and also obviously for the children. And I know Lucas can attest to that. It's a great organization. So
I'm curious, what was that like for you getting signed up for that?
Well, it was really interesting. My previous boss, he was on the board of directors for it. And he's like, Jessi, what are you doing? Like, you have got to be part of this. Like, this is your niche.
Really?
So yeah, he just signed me up for the program. He's like, just try it and see. And oh my gosh, if I had more time, because I run a business and I also do YouTube, but if I had more time on my hands, which I'm hoping I will soon, I'd love to do it again because
That's like the most wonderful thing ever. That's
it's so fun. And they look for people who have knowledge of fandoms like the ones that we love so much.
Sure.
So there's another question from Jay. Did you see the Jim Henson Creature Shop Challenge show back in 2014?
Yes, I did. And I tell you, what's so cool about that is that kind of harkens back to kind of like when Jim Henson, not only like the Ed Sullivan period, where he was experimenting with a lot of different looks on puppets and a lot of different ideas for sketches, but also just that avant-garde Labyrinth, Dark Crystal, The Witches, like just really weird, like very much like creating, not copying the Muppets, doing your own thing. And I just thought that was so impressive. And I remember watching that. I was like, there's some real amazing potential out there. It was so cool to watch it. And Brian Henson was in charge of it. So who I've got to meet twice now. And he's a really nice guy.
That's awesome. And so one last question for you. I know you've met a lot of people who are involved in Muppets, but do you have the ultimate meeting that you've had that is like a core memory that you can talk about?
So, gosh, I mean, again, all of it happened all the major ones happened by accident at the Hollywood Bowl.
Which is great.
Well, my friend Chris got us backstage, and I literally just snuck behind the velvet rope. Nobody was looking.
That's amazing.
It was the most Mr. Magoo moment of my life. Like Forrest Gump,
Right.
And so, and it started with Matt Vogel, just because, we're from Kansas City. Dave Goles, I love Gonzo. Bill Beretta, I talked to him for a moment, and I go, who's your favorite Jim Henson character that you perform now? He goes, I love Dr. T, because the entire time you just have this giant smile on your face when you're underneath performing. And he's so musical and fun and colorful. And something else that happened when I was 20 years old, I flew out to Burbank Studios. I was not a professional, and to this day I'm not. But I wanted to be a puppeteer for the Muppets. There was an open-ended audition for people to go in. And I met Kevin Clash, who does Elmo. I met Martin G. Baker, who was the producer of the Muppet Show. And the next day, there was a Q&A for Fraggle Rock because they had released the second season on DVD. And I still have the picture to this day. It's downstairs. I should have brought it with me. I met Jocelyn Stephen, who, along with Jerry Jewell, wrote a giant chunk of those episodes of Fraggle Rock. And that was the Muppet fan I ever met, because I kind of wanted to go up and talk to her for a moment, but I was kind of nervous. I'd never really met a celebrity before.
Right.
And I just told her, I go, Miss Stevenson, I'm a huge fan of your work on Fraggle Rock. Like, because the Fraggle Rock is about bringing the world together and how we're all interconnected. And I go, you've just done such magical work with that show. She goes, well, thank you. You made my day. I was like, well, thank you. It was like, awesome. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
I've been stupid lucky with how many different people.
It's amazing. I mean, that's like a dream for someone who loves a fandom. That's incredible.
Oh yeah.
It's incredible. So can you tell everyone where to find you?
Yes, I can. So you can find me, my work anyway. I run the Muppet Collection page on Facebook, and we cover mainly merchandise that's coming out. We also cover like old school stuff, like I'll show you some of the vintage stuff we got here. Speaking of Fraggle, we even cover like toys that came out in the 80s, like the little rock figurines. Even some of the newer stuff. I think it was I'm probably wrong, Mediacom, that made these new Sesame Street figures. And so we cover Muppet merch, both old and new, any type. And we also have Muppet Mondays. So if you have a Muppet collection you would like to share on Muppet Mondays, I display people's collections, and literally at this point, it's about the Muppet collection page will be 6 years old next week.
Oh my
And
gosh.
yeah,
That's awesome.
so starting back then is when I decided to go, I want one day where I get to see other people around the world. We've had people from Spain, Brazil, Australia, the Netherlands, Canada.
That's so
Like,
cool.
so it's so cool to see. And there's some stuff that is only exclusive to that country.
Oh, right. Yeah, that totally makes sense. That's so interesting. I mean, isn't the internet amazing?
It's
It can connect people so easily. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and people are so eager to share their stuff, and it's so much fun because there's a lot of people also with the merch that they collect. They also have signed posters and whatnot of the people they got to meet as well.
Oh, that's so neat. That's so neat. And
And of course,
congratulations on 6 years of the Facebook group. That's super exciting.
yeah, and then of course my Instagram handle, which is Earless Wonder 85, and that's where I do a lot of my toy photography. I started doing that a little bit before I did the Muppet Collection page. So you can find me on there. That's also where I do the classic Muppet Show review with my friend Chenzo, where we every other week we're going to cover different random episodes of the Muppet Show. And also, I'm doing my own set of interviews called An Earful with Ervin, where I talk to different people about their careers, their passions, and stuff like that.
Yeah, please be sure to go follow Lucas. All of those links that he mentioned are going to be linked in the description box down below. Lucas, thank you so much.
Jessi,
It's an absolute pleasure to be able to hang out with you.
This has been so cool. Thank you so much.
Really?
So great.
Yeah, so hang on here for me. We're going to say goodbye to everyone on the live, and then we'll head backstage. But thank you all so much for being here. Be sure to hit that subscribe button down below.
Thank you all. It's been so much fun doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next video. TTFN. Bye.